Welcome back to Hyrule Park. In this episode, we are going to build out Hyrule Castle in its entirety. Might get into Castletown a little bit as well, not totally sure, but definitely focusing hard on Hyrule Castle in this one. I'm super happy with how this ends up coming out in the end, guys. It's cool to see the third iteration of Hyrule Castle for me as a creator in this game. I can definitely see the experience playing a factor in the finished product in this one. A lot more depth, a lot more interesting features, and just overall super happy with the castle as a park centerpiece. These first couple minutes you're seeing me go through and build different variations of the turrets. I cut out a lot of the trial and error, assuming people wouldn't be super interested in the process of me building them, deleting and building again until I got what I was happy with. But yeah, a lot of going back and forth between the grid pieces and seeing if I wanted to go with a more custom freeform piece focus. It ended up being a mixture of both, as it usually does. It's weird. As I was going through this process, I almost started feeling a little guilty about how I was using the fairy tale pieces, which is what I use. Every piece in this build is part of the fairy tale pack, I think. There are so many pre-made pieces in that pack that I'm already happy with as is, whereas in the past, before this latest update, to make like a castle or something like this, I was having to go through the entirety of the piece library in the game to find pieces that would come close to what I was thinking and envisioning. But this theme pack just made it so much easier because it's just there for you, right? Like they have actual castle pieces. But yeah, I was feeling like, am I cheating by just going in and using the in-game pieces that are given to me and not creating my own pieces? Probably a silly thing to think about, but that's where my mind was at the beginning of this build. But you'll see, and past me saw, at the end of this build, I think it was pretty cool the way I was able to put kind of a unique twist on the pieces in-game. So that was encouraging for future builds, because I envision using a lot of the fairy tale pack, at least with Hyrule Castle, obviously, with Hyrule Castle in Castletown. Probably a lot through other parts of the park too, but especially in this first section here. So yeah, that was encouraging to see. I didn't want it to be just super obvious that I slapped some of the pre-made pieces together and then called it a castle. I actually spent like a good amount of time combining pieces, using freeform pieces, mixed with the grid pieces given to me, stacking the turrets and other parts of the castle and angling it in different ways. Just really happy with it in the end. Also for this one, I had to, you might notice here that the entrance is behind the castle here. That's because I had to turn the castle around specifically for this build because, I don't know if I made a huge mistake starting the park in the corner that I started it in for this map, but with the lighting and direction of the sun at any time of day that I tried, it was just creating too many shadows for me to get a good look at what I was trying to do and build, and preventing me from really focusing in on the details like I would want to. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me in terms of the overall park look and lighting at the end of all this whole project, but it is what it is now, I think. I don't think it'll be a problem, or just have to do things like this when I'm building, when the sun isn't cooperating. Again, cutting a good amount of the experimenting here, but I really wanted to create depth with this build, like I was saying. So yeah, I was messing around with how far back to place like the start of the main castle walls in relation to this huge door here. I wanted to make sure that I was also giving myself a chance to leave it symmetrical on either side. You couldn't always use the grid for that, obviously, because of the pieces I'm using and the way I'm combining them. So I had to eyeball it as close as possible. I wouldn't say it takes a long time to do that. It's just a little bit more tedious than, obviously, if you're working on the grid, it does that for you. But yeah, I just didn't want to have a situation where after all of this, I had like a lopsided or a crooked castle to look at the end. In terms of inspiration for this version of Hyrule Castle, I didn't have any like images I was looking at. It was more like, again, especially in the beginning of this one, I was really keeping Ocarina of Time in mind in some ways, but as you'll see at the end, definitely not entirely. I at least started with that castle in mind, but as iconic as that castle is in that game, I couldn't get past the whole like low-res, boxy sort of look that castle has in that game, you know what I mean? So yeah, I started with that as inspiration, but ended up taking more into account like the Breath of the Wild version of Hyrule Castle. That iteration of the castle just offers, in my opinion, more by way of like awe-inspiring reaction when you see it. Like the way it's just massive. It looks over all of Hyrule. It has so many different levels to it. I definitely wanted to go more that route than the toned down version of the N64 days. So when all said and done, it's not really a one-for-one of any specific version of Hyrule Castle within the Zelda series. It's more just of what I remember from specific games that stuck out to me, and I kind of put it together in one big weenie. This is where the easy part of the build, I think, started to end for me. Honestly, though, this whole build was kind of one of those like stream of consciousness type deals where everything just seemed to go according to plan for the most part. But in this part in particular, I had to spend a bit more time to kind of get the depth I was looking for. If you were to go back and look at my first Hyrule Castle build, it's on my workshop. That one for sure was an attempt to replicate Ocarina of Time, so it was super boxy, not much depth to it. For this one, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just like a rectangle, you know. It was yeah, it just had the depth, like I keep saying. But yeah, I wasn't entirely sure how I wanted to go about it. Like, did I want to use a lot of the curved pieces, just angle straight pieces in a way that makes it more engaging, I guess. Where did I want to, put connecting turrets to each section of the wall? Which turret variations did I want to use? So again, a lot of trial and error to see what I felt looked best, but all in all, this whole build really kind of came together pretty smoothly, if I'm being honest. And guys, if you're liking this and you're making it this far into the video, first of all, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It would really help me out a lot if you left a like and considered subscribing if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. I'm gonna be putting these out weekly, at least, maybe twice a week if I find the time and momentum to allow that to happen. But for sure once a week is my goal. So yeah, with that plug, I will let this play out for a bit. Enjoy the Zelda music here by Michael or Mikkel. I'm not sure how you pronounce the name. If you haven't checked out his stuff already, go check him out because he's awesome. I link his channel in the description, and he was nice enough to give me permission to use his tracks for the music bed in these videos. So yeah, go check him out. He's a genius when it comes to these arrangements. So definitely go give him a follow if you're into Zelda music, which I don't know how you can't be. It's the masterpiece, the arrangements that game brings us as video game players, in the way that Michael or Mikkel or sorry, however you pronounce the name, how he kind of puts his spin on it. It's really cool. Anyways, yeah, go click the link, check him out, and I'll hop back in here in a few minutes. putting some finishing touches on here. I won't show all of this. For some reason, this is like my least favorite part of any build. But really, like in the end, when I'm looking at the finished product, it's probably my favorite part of the result. I don't know, it's for me, it's tedious to put all these decals and vines and whatnot up on the walls. But, you know, taking the extra 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it takes to do it, definitely it makes a difference in the end result. So we got to do it. And then instead of a walkthrough for this one, I think I'll just do a couple cool shots of the castle. I'll have it all themed up in terms of like the trees and rockwork and terraforming and whatnot for you guys here at the end. So stay tuned for that coming up here in a minute or so. Next episode, we'll be hopping into Castletown, start planning out our first rides of the park there too, and kind of just creating that whole main street sort of deal of this park. So yeah, if you made it here to the end, thank you so much. You're awesome. If you could do me that favor and leave a like, leave your thoughts on the way out, subscribe, it would be much appreciated. Yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.